Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and if you're seeing this, I'm on the road today. Could be a plane, could be a long drive, but wherever I am, I'm out there connecting with patriots who love faith, family, and freedom just like you do. I never want this channel to go dark just because I stepped away from the studio, so my team and I set aside this special session in advance for days just like this. So tell me in the comments where you are watching from and how you're living out faith, family, and freedom right where God planted you. This movement does not pause when I travel. It keeps going because you keep going. God bless. What I wanted to talk to you guys about in our deep dive exclusively for you, for our Inside Club members, our courageous Patriots Club members, is I want to talk to you about how this war, this Operation Epic Fury, is foregrounding the three major political dynamics that are converging together to form the new politics of the 21st century. And you probably heard me referring to them as theopolitics, right? Not geopolitics, theopolitics, technopolitics, and astropolitics. And the combination of the three is awakening what I'm calling in my new book that I'm writing, the civcasm. It's short for civilizational cosmocracy. But I literally didn't have any other term that I thought could encompass all those dynamics of theopolitics, technopolitics, and astropolitics. So I came up with this civilizational cosmocracy, and I thought, well, you got to be able to shorten that. So civcasm for short. A civcasm is civilization, particularly this renewed American civilization, reaching its highest cosmic expression. Simply put, that's what it is. It's a civilizational cosmocracy, as I call it, goes beyond world order, right? Everyone's asking, okay, now that we know that the liberal international order is dead, what replaces it? What's the new world order? Not the new world order, right? not in a WEF sense or anything like that, or globalist sense. What's the new international political order that's rising to replace the liberal globalist order? And what my research is finding is that question, what's the new world order that replaces the liberal international order, is too small of a question, because it doesn't recognize that our geopolitical reality is actually extending beyond the geo. It's extending beyond this world. We now are increasingly moving from geopolitics into what's called astropolitics, which involves the balance of power, the great power competitions, taking place in outer space. So satellites, space stations, lunar stations, terraforming Mars, and the like. So it's not just the United States. It's Russia, it's China, it's India, it's Japan, the ESA, the European Space Agency. And so world order is increasingly becoming a very real cosmic order. So talking about world order alone misses this vital dimension that our geopolitics is morphing into. It's increasingly becoming astropolitics, and they're doing so through technopolitics, where he who controls AI and quantum computing and the like controls the world, right? So there's a literal AI arms race going on as we speak between the United States, China, Russia, India, and we're seeing all of these civcasm dynamics converge in this war. So I want to talk with you about why this war, this conflict in Iran, is really the first civcasm war. The first war that reveals the three civilizational forces operating simultaneously, not separately, not accidentally, but as a unified cosmic expression of American power in particular. So let's start with what I call theopolitics, the reemergence of religion and civilization as organizing principles of geopolitical order. That's basically what theopolitics is. So, of course, on the one hand, we're fighting an Islamic theocracy, right? Shiite Iran, guarded by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, right? And aligned with Shiite proxies throughout the region, like Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas. Hamas is technically Sunni Muslim, but they're supported by Iran and its proxies. So that's an obvious example of theopolitics. But who's fighting Iran? Who's fighting this Islamic regime? nations that are now aligned by what's called the Abraham Accords. And the Abraham Accords, I've talked a lot about them. They were signed in September of 2020. They're not just another diplomatic agreement. They're fundamentally different from the Camp David Accords with Egypt in 78 or the peace deal with Jordan in 94. Those were contractual. They were legalistic. They're just purely political arrangements. What makes the Abraham Accords so unique is they explicitly invoke theopolitics for their basis of unity. They invoke the shared Abrahamic religious heritage between Jews, Muslims, and Christians to reframe centuries-old geopolitical rivalries into cooperative, diplomatic-centered activities from a civilizational reconciliation, from the vantage point of civilizational reconciliation. I'll have to say that in an easier way at some point, but the very name, of course, is drawn from our common patriarch Abraham. He's common to all three monotheistic faiths. And so this is not an accident. It's a deliberate theological statement embedded in the legal text of an international agreement. The very first paragraph of the Accords actually singles out respect for religious freedom as the basis for strengthening peace. And the signatories, Israel, the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan, they're committed to promoting interfaith and intercultural dialogue, advancing what the text calls a culture of peace among the three Abrahamic religions and all humanity. So that's the theopolitical dimension in all of this. It recognizes the centrality of religion in our geopolitical arrangements or even in our geopolitical clashes like we're seeing here. That's the new security architecture of the Middle East. The Abraham Accords, one built not on secular balance of power alone, but on shared civilizational and religious identity. And we see this architecture operating right now in the war. Israel's integration into U.S. Central Command, which was made possible by the Abraham Accords, enabled the kind of real-time military coordination between American, Israeli, and Arab Gulf allies that we're seeing in Operation Epic Fury. The Accords didn't just open embassies. That's key. They opened shared missile defense networks, intelligence pipelines, and joint defense industrial cooperation. Israel and the UAE are now co-developing drone systems. Gulf nations are building localized defense production with Israeli technology. This was unthinkable just literally like 5 years ago. It's a civilizational security bloc forged in the language of Abraham. But first, gang, let's face it. You had a number in your head, right? The number you thought would be enough to retire. And then the price of life went up and up and up. And now the question isn't whether you saved, it's whether what you saved can still buy the retirement you planned for. I mean, think about what's happening right now. War flaring up, oil spikes, and then everything gets higher. Gas, groceries, insurance, bills. We've seen this before. We're watching a structural shift in the global economy where inflation isn't temporary. It's embedded. And historically, when that happens, purchasing power doesn't recover. It erodes. Your dollar buys less. Your savings carry less. And people who are counting down to retirement, they start wondering if they got to push it back, all because the cost of living moved the finish line. That was my wake-up call. I knew there had to be something else I could do to protect what I built, so I researched, and that's when I found Augusta Precious Metals. And gang, they taught me things I didn't even know were possible. I had no idea you could move your IRA or 401k into physical gold, tax-free, penalty-free, a real asset that's held its value through war, oil spikes, and market chaos. And that changed everything for me. I've spoken with Augusta's education team. These guys know their stuff, and they explain it so clearly. So here's what I recommend you do right now. Go to turleybuysgold.com or text Turley to 35052 to get Augusta's free gold IRA guide. That's turleybuysgold.com or text Turley to 35052 because the retirement you dreamed of is still possible, but only if you protect it. So that's the theopolitical dimension here. Now, the second dimension is technopolitics. And this is where the Iran war becomes something genuinely new, something genuinely unprecedented in human history. This really is, I talked about it this morning, this is the first Terminator war. I don't know any other way of putting it, right? I'm an 80s kid. I mean, I guess that's what it is. But this is the first war conducted largely by AI, artificial intelligence. The Pentagon is using Palantir's Maven smart system, powered by Anthropic's Claude AI, before I think they boot Anthropic out. But regardless, it's there to generate in real time targets. And from satellite imagery, surveillance platforms, classified intelligence feeds. Claude was integrated into Maven to analyze intelligence data, suggest targets, generate the coordinates, and prioritize them based on operational importance. What you've got to get in all of that is, historically speaking, that takes tons of manpower, several military analysts, and it took weeks to produce that kind of data. This is done in literal milliseconds. One Georgetown University study found that Maven allowed a single artillery unit to perform work that previously required around 2,000 staff with a team of just 20 people. So this is the first major war in which generative AI has been operationally deployed in large-scale combat. Meanwhile, SpaceX's Starlink, with an estimated 50,000 terminals already inside Iran, was pumping uncensored internet into the country from low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit, if I recall, is about 2,000 miles from the face of the Earth, destabilizing the regime's information control. The Trump administration, as I understand it, smuggled thousands of additional Starlink terminals in Iran in January. So they knew they were going to do this for a long time, by the way. Iran tried military-grade satellite jamming. They tried GPS spoofing. They even got Chinese jamming technology to fight it. And Starlink was totally ineffective. They just kept transmitting, completely bypassed all those jamming signals. From 6,000 satellites overhead, the information keeps flowing into Iran while the Pentagon is using the military variant, Starshield, to coordinate strike operations with interference resistance communications. And then there is my favorite. I came across this term in my research, directed energy weapons. Directed energy weapons is a fancy schmancy way of talking about lasers, okay? We've got lasers operative on this battlefield for the first time ever. Navy destroyers off the coast deployed the Helios system. That's a high-energy laser built by Lockheed Martin. CENTCOM is showing footage where Helios engages and destroys Iranian drones, burning them out of the sky with concentrated energy beams. So the days of anti-air defense mechanisms of matching missile with missile are gone. I mean, it's just gone. I will still have them, I'm sure, as a backup, but my heavens. And we're not just even talking about soft kill, dazzling. Helios destroyed Shahed-style drones in live combat. It's stunning stuff. Meanwhile, Israel unveiled their Iron Beam, its own high-energy laser defense system built by Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, using it for the first time in live combat to intercept Hezbollah rockets fired from Lebanon. You know, they've opened up a northern front, another front to the war in the north of Israel. And so they shoot out a 100-kilowatt laser that fires at the speed of light, shooting down rockets at near zero cost per shot. That's the stunning thing. That every it's infinitely regenerative. As long as you've got energy, you've got the laser beam, and it literally costs like $3 a shot, and you're knocking down $10,000 missiles. So again, the economic equation has been completely inverted. Generally speaking, the incoming missiles are about $10,000, but the air defense is like $100,000. You know, it's like almost like a 10-to-1 differential. Now it's completely been inverted. Friends, listen. We are not watching the decline of Christian civilization. We are watching its reawakening. I've written a free ebook, The Reawakening of Christian Civilization, and a free 3-part video series to go with it. The whole package is yours at no cost. Scan the QR code on your screen right now or hit the link in the description. Go grab it. It's all waiting for you.